I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Hey, what's up my homies, Lay here. Rob Font taking on Jose Aldo. We're back with another UFC breakdown, man. Let's go. I'm kinda ready to obliterate December, you know what I'm saying? We've got 3 UFC cards in December. Let's cash them all. You know, we've been doing pretty good on these UFC events, man. Cashing them back to back. You don't want to get ahead of yourself too much because when you do, normally you get humbled, right?
You know what it was? I got too comfortable. And I started to get fancy.
Hey, as always, my homies, make sure you smash that like button. Alright, let's jump into it. Alright guys, we've got Smolka taking on Vince Morales. Now, I don't think there's a lock either side in this matchup. It's a difficult one to predict, you know. You look at Vince Morales, he got blasted to the leg by Chris Gutierrez. But Smolka isn't kicking anyone like that, you know what I'm saying? Vince Morales had some nice pressure, some good boxing pressure against Draco Rodriguez. And he might need that against Smolka. Now Smolka, he's got that yo-yo record, you know, win-loss, win-loss. And if it continues, if that pattern continues, this one should be a loss. Now we're not making predictions based on patterns. But if you're looking at areas where Smolka probably should win this fight, it's maybe the grappling. You know, his jiu-jitsu is pretty good. So if he can take the back of Vince Morales, maybe he finds a submission. And then you kind of think back to Vince Morales getting choked out by Domingo Pilate on the Contender Series. You know, that was a crazy fight, by the way. But yeah, man, Smolka taking on Vince Morales does seem like a difficult fight to predict. I like the boxing pressure of Vince. But if we're looking at who's got more experience, that's going to be Smolka. You know, I think there's a few things you could say for Smolka and a few things you could say for Morales. Ultimately, I believe it's a difficult prediction to make. However, still going to make a prediction. I'm going to side with Vince Vendetta Morales to use that boxing pressure. If both of these guys end up grappling, hopefully Vince Morales can be the guy ending up on top. Because we see what it looks like if you can take his back. You know, you can work a submission. I'm going to side with Vince Morales, most likely a decision. But having said that, guys, since Smolka has been back in the UFC, there's only been finishes in his fights. You know, he got an armbar against Sumadaji, choked out by Matt Chanel, TKO'd Ryan McDonald, choked out by Casey Kenny, ground and pound Quinones. But I think this time, most likely this one's going to go the full 15 minutes. You know, a little bit similar with Liana Jojua. You know, all of her fights in the UFC were finishes, but we just see her go 15 with Courtney Casey. So yeah, maybe picking the over or fight to go the distance would be a safer option than picking who's going to win the fight. But if I had to pick, I'm going to side with Vince Morales. My numbers on this one, I'm going to price Vince Morales 6 times out of 10 minus 150. But the actual numbers, what we've got Vince Morales plus 120, Smolka minus 130, minus 140. So yeah, even the bookies are like, yo, we're going to price it close because who knows? Yeah, difficult prediction to make, guys. I wouldn't lay too much money here. Alright guys, moving into the next fight, we've got Alex Morono taking on Maki Gall. Now, Alex Morono has over 25 professional fights inside the octagon. This guy's pretty experienced. You know, if you look at the skill set of Alex Morono, his kickboxing is okay. Hasn't got the best striking defense in the world, but he's not in there with Francis Ngannou. He's in there with Maki Gall. Maki Gall is primarily a jiu-jitsu player. You would never guess that if you see his fight with Jordan Williams. You know, he cracked Jordan Williams with a nasty, nasty combo. You know, you look at Maki Gall's striking in his last fight. You wouldn't guess that he's a grappler. But against Alex Morono, he shouldn't be landing those type of shots. You know, he's got to grapple if he wants success in this fight. Alex Morono done nice to grapple Anthony Pettis. He done well to grapple Rhys McKee. But if you notice in the Anthony Pettis fight, you know, after round 1, Alex Morono was tired. He did get some nice wins over Donald Cerrone and David Zawada after that. But it's still kind of concerning, you know. He slowed down a lot after round 1 against Anthony Pettis. Now, the good thing for Alex Morono, Maki Gall has not got good cardio. You know, this guy slows down a lot outside of round 1 too. So it could potentially be a round 1 or bust situation for Mickey Gall. You know, if both of these guys slow down outside of round 1, I kind of favour Alex Morono still to dictate that fight. Now inside round 1, if Mickey Gall can get the fight to the mat, try take the back, find a submission, then all the credit in the world. But if you put a gun to my head and say who's going to win this fight, I think all of the logic kind of points to Alex Morono. You know, he's got the experience advantage, potentially the cardio advantage, striking advantage. He's fought better competition. He has been knocked out by like Chaos Williams, Nico Price, but Mickey Gall isn't doing that. Yes, he did that to Jordan Williams, but Jordan Williams, you know, kind of there to be hit. We just see that recently with Ian Gary. So yeah, my prediction has to be Alex Morono. Now, if I had to make numbers, if I had to make lines for this fight, I would say Alex Morono 7 times out of 10. So I'd price him around minus 220. But what do the bookies have? The bookies have Alex Morono minus 220, minus 210. Yeah, I like it. I think it's spot on. If Mickey Gall can show some really good cardio outside of round 1, or even put hands on Morono the way he did Jordan Williams, you know, credit's got to be given. But my prediction, I'm going to side with Alex Morono. Alright, my homies, we've got Phillipe Lins taking on Azamat Murzakanov. Did I say that right? Azamat Murzakanov. Yeah, Murzakanov.
Can I help you? I don't speak English.
Alright, so let's speak about Phillipe Lins first. Man, on this channel, guys, we like to use the saying total obliteration. And that's exactly what happened to Phillipe Lins. You know, Tanner Boser may have changed his brain chemistry. It was that bad. You know, if I'm looking at ways that Phillipe Lins is going to win this fight, I think he's just got to find a shot. You know, he's got to find a shot on Azamat, put him out. Because when you look at Azamat Murzakanov, you know, this guy looked good on the Contender Series. You know, you can't really get a beat on this guy. You know, his movement is so good, so quick, that it's hard to get a read. If I'm looking at who's more technical, who's the technically better fighter, all day, it's Azamat. You know, even his octagon name, it's the Professional. And it looks that way. You look at this guy inside the octagon, man, he's moving quick. He's firing the boxing real quick. The only way I'm going to say that Phillipe Lins is able to beat Azamat, he's got to find that knockout punch. But when you see Tanner Boser inflicting total obliteration, I kind of lean towards Azamat. So yeah, guys, that's got to be my prediction. I'll take the newcomer, the Dana White Contender Series winner, Azamat Murzakanov. Most likely a TKO. You know, if Phillipe Lins overcommits, gets too reckless, he maybe gets obliterated again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, my numbers on this one, I'd go minus 250 on Azamat. And we've got minus 220 up to minus 250. You know, Phillipe Lins is stepping down from heavyweight, but I'm not sure that this is an easy matchup. You know, it's not an easy one. It's not the type of matchup that you get given that says, yo, welcome to 205. Here's an easy matchup. If anyone's got the easy matchup here, I think it's Azamat. So yeah, that's got to be my prediction. Man, we've got a fight between Claudio Puelles taking on Gruetzmacher. My goodness. I say my goodness because there couldn't be a bigger pick'em on this card, honestly. When I'm looking at Claudio, you know, this guy's primarily a grappler. If I'm looking at Gruetzmacher, you know, I'm not even sure what to describe this guy as. You know, gritty. And that's kind of his octagon name too, you know, it's Grits. You know, Gruetzmacher is the type of fighter that will eat your shots, but if he can take your shots, hopefully you slow down, and if you do slow down, now he's going to take over. You know, almost like a Homer Simpson. You remember that Homer Simpson episode where he's just getting beat up in the boxing ring and then the guy gasses out and he just punches the guy once and wins the fight? That's what Gruetzmacher's like. You know, it all depends how good you are. If you're somewhat of a good fighter, you should be beating Gruetzmacher. And that sounds harsh, man, but, you know, I've got to be honest. There is a few weaknesses in the game of Claudio Puelles. You know, his striking isn't exactly great, and his cardio isn't exactly great either. So, yeah, I can see Chris winning, man. I can see this one being a pick'em. Out of 10 times, it's probably going to be 5 apiece. Guys, if you put a gun to my head and I had to make a prediction, I had to lay money, I'd pick Claudio Puelles. And I don't feel good about that. You know what I'm saying? My numbers, man, -110 on both of these guys. And the bookies have Claudio +100, Chris Gruetzmacher -110, -115. Yeah, they know what's up. They know what's up. And what's up is, who knows? That's what's up with this one. Fade it. Don't lay money on this, guys. Alright, moving into a fight between Alonzo Menifield and William Knight. Man, these two guys kind of look like they should be doing the front double bicep at the Arnold Classic. You know what I'm saying? Alonzo Menifield, William Knight, both of these guys muscle bound. You know, got a lot of muscle. As we know with fighters who hold a lot of muscle, their cardio usually isn't great. It's not fighting cardio. But to be honest, guys, if you look at Alonzo Menifield against Ed Herman, his last fight, Alonzo used a lot of movement. Man, he even had a flurry in round 2. A big combination of punches. Couldn't get Ed Herman out and he looked pretty tired. But in that exact moment where he looked tired, literally just started moving his feet. Just started moving his feet. And you know, you hear the MMA coaches say that a lot, you know, just move your feet. And that's exactly what Alonzo Menifield done, you know, looked pretty fatigued, but said to himself, look, I'm going to keep moving. Now, William Knight hasn't exactly got the same type of movement. You know, he looks a little bit more stationary. The low kicks, they come real quick from William Knight, but Alonzo Menifield also a pretty good calf kicker. Man, what William Knight done to Fabio Chiron in his last fight, you know, that counter left hook, you know, really nasty. Is there a chance that William Knight can knock out Alonzo Menifield? Absolutely. Is there a chance Alonzo Menifield can knock out William Knight? Absolutely. So the fight not going the distance or the under, maybe that's a potential casher, you know what I'm saying? But if we're looking at who's going to win the fight, man, difficult prediction to make, but I'm slightly leaning towards Alonzo Menifield. There's not much logic behind that lean. The only thing I would say is he looks like he wants to move a little bit more than William Knight. There is a world, there is a universe where Alonzo Menifield basically replicates what he done in his last fight. And that's, you know, stick and move, stick and move. But there is also a world, a universe, where one of these guys is going to go to sleep. And to be honest, there's more worlds where that happens. It's a difficult prediction to make because both of these guys pretty much mirror each other. You know, they've got the punching power. Their cardio is pretty similar. The wrestling from both guys kinda similar. You know, it's a mirror match. So who do you pick? I'm going to take Alonzo Menifield, but there's not a ton of confidence there. If I had to make lines, I'm putting Alonzo Menifield around maybe -150. And the actual numbers, you've got Alonzo Menifield -160 up to -175. Man, kind of feels like they're making you pay a little bit of tax on that one. You know, William Knight at +140, +150, it looks more advertising. But the bookie likes to do that, you know. They like to price it and make you think to yourself, oh my God, William Knight +150, I've got to hit this. And then 9 times out of 10, the line that doesn't look as nice, that's the winning line. But if we're taking numbers out of it and just purely thinking about the matchup, you know, it's a mirror match. So who do you pick? I'm going to take Menifield. Good fight though. Alright guys, we've got a matchup between Mallory Martin taking on Cheyanne Vlismas. She's known as Cheyanne Bays, but that doesn't appear to be her name anymore. Now looking at this matchup guys, originally I was siding with Mallory Martin, but after watching tape, I kind of feel like Cheyanne is too aggressive. She's really aggressive. You know, you look at her UFC debut, it didn't go too good. She kept getting scarf held thrown to the mat. Now obviously if you get taken to the mat, you want it to be something traditional, you know, single leg, double leg, or maybe your defense against the cage is not too good. But Cheyanne Bays, man, she was getting scarf hold thrown to the mat, which is, you know, she looked like an amateur. But then she had a nice comeback win against a Muay Thai fighter, where to be honest, man, Cheyanne was the one who looked like the Muay Thai fighter. landing a nasty kick. Mallory Martin is coming off a loss to Polyana Viana, and for some reason she took her to the mat. Not a clue why, but yeah, she did. Like I said guys, originally I was leaning towards Mallory Martin, trying to fade Cheyanne, but I think the aggression of Cheyanne might be the difference. And if Mallory Martin starts scarf hold throwing Cheyanne to the mat, and the aggression's not the difference, I'm going to be kicking myself. But yeah, I'm going to side with Cheyanne on this one. Man, if I'm predicting the numbers on this one, I wouldn't put either Gall like minus 200. I'd keep it somewhat close. I'd put Cheyanne minus 130. And you've got Cheyanne Vlismas, whatever her name is, minus 180. My goodness. So the bookies are like, yo, Mallory Martin plus 160, plus 150. You can play that if you want. But yeah, I think the aggression of Cheyanne may be the difference. Alright guys, moving into a matchup between Zhalgas Zhumagulov taking on Manel Kape. Alright, so starting with Zhalgas. His UFC debut wasn't that impressive against Julian Paiva. Then he fought Amir Albazi, where again, not that impressive. Then he did get an impressive win, a standing guillotine choke against Jerome Rivera. But in all fairness, man, everyone looks good against Jerome Rivera. You know, a little bit harsh, but it's true. If I'm looking at ways that Zhalgas is going to beat Manel Kape, I'm not too sure how well he's going to do with the striking. I wouldn't say that Manel Kape's going to blow him out the water with the striking, but there's no way that Zhalgas is going to blow Manel Kape out the water. You know what I'm saying? The striking should be somewhat close. If Zhalgas wants to beat Manel Kape, maybe he has to grapple. You know, the standing guillotine probably isn't going to be an option, so he might have to take Manel Kape to the mat. Now, Manel Kape on the flip side, his UFC debut, the output has got to be higher. Then he fought Matheus Nicolau, where, in my opinion, Manel Kape won this fight. But again, you know, the same story, the output is not high enough. Now, that wasn't the case against Ode Osbourne in his last fight. You know, this was an impressive win. Jump knee, total obliteration. In all fairness, guys, Manel Kape was probably losing the first round until that jump knee landed. Man, if there's any positive to having low output, that would probably be the positive. You know, the fact that, look, I'm not going to just keep throwing strikes. I'm actively going to try set something up. And that's what you see against Ode Osbourne, you know. He was circling, trying to bring Ode into that technique. And it worked, you know. Credit to Manel Kape. But here's the problem, right? If you've got low output and you're trying to bring that opponent into that nasty technique that's going to finish the fight, if you're trying to do that, it's not always going to work. You know, it worked in his last one against Ode, but is it going to continue to work? You know, if it always worked, then there would be many Corey Sandhagens in the UFC. So ultimately, the positive for Manel Kape is, look, low output, I'm trying to bring you into a nasty technique. It worked. But is it going to continue to work? So overall, Manel Kape does need to up his output. The output needs to be higher. Now let's say we have a kickboxing battle. If Manel Kape can, like I say, up the output, I would give him the advantage in a kickboxing fight. If the output is low and the kickboxing's close and Zhalgas gets a couple takedowns here and there, you know what I'm saying, Zhalgas is probably going to win the fight. You know, it's a good matchup, it's a good fight. If Manel Kape can fix a couple weaknesses that we've just spoken about, it's going to be a good one. If he looks the same as he does in his first 3 UFC fights with the low output, it's a pick'em. My prediction, guys, I'm going to side with the guy that I have not picked against yet, and that's Manel Kape. I just hope he can up the output. I like that he's trying to bring you into a fight-ending technique. I like the fact that he's not just throwing output like most of these fighters do. You know, he's trying to be a clean fighter. But the only problem with that is, when you're doing that, The fight is close. So ultimately, man, he just needs to be a little bit more active. Yeah, my numbers on this one, guys. I'd put Manel over 6 times out of 10, but not quite 7 times. So I'd say around -180. And the actual numbers, we've got Manel -200 up to -220. If the output is a bit higher and it's mainly a kickboxing fight, yeah, -220. It's reasonable. Alright, we've got a matchup between Jake Matthews and Jeremiah Wells. Now, Jeremiah Wells debuted against Warlley Alves, and it was complete obliteration. This guy does not hold back. You know, you look at that first round against Warlley, he's gone from 0 to 100. You know, he's trying to finish the fight. Now, Jake Matthews, a lot of experience inside the UFC. You know, he lost his last fight to Sean Brady. But Sean Brady, you know, top guy. If you're looking at what Jake Matthews is trying to do inside the octagon, it's mainly to grapple the opponent. He has shown some nice boxing against Diego Sanchez, Rostam Akman. You know, he shows some nice boxing in these fights. But if you're looking at what Jake Matthews is most dangerous at, it's always going to be taking down the opponent, landing on top, then looking to use that jiu-jitsu. Can Jeremiah Wells knock out Jake Matthews? Can he obliterate Matthews the way he obliterated Warlley Alves? Absolutely. But if Jake Matthews, you know, looks at this matchup and says to himself, I'm going to take down Jeremiah, then Jake Matthews is probably going to win the fight. Everything tells me that Jake Matthews should be the winner. So that's the prediction I'm going to make. Hopefully Jake Matthews can take down the opponent. We don't want to trade in this one. And that's not to say that Jake Matthews can't box, man, because he's proven to have the nice jab, the nice 1-2s, you know. The guy's powerful, he can box. But you don't want to prove it here. You don't want to prove it against Jeremiah Wells. Take down the opponent, take the win. So I'd price Jake Matthews around, I'm going to put him around -270. But the bookies have Jake Matthews -180, -200. You know, if we're striking, okay, yeah, -200. If Jake Matthews wants to make it a horrible fight for Jeremiah Wells, yeah, -3. Alright guys, we've got a fight between Maki Pitolo taking on Dusko Todorovic. Man, I've watched a lot of tape for this card, and this is a fight I'm probably not going to bet on. The reasons why I'm not going to bet on this one. You know, against Punahele Soriano, man, he's showing fatigue in round 1. Against Gregory Rodriguez, you know, his striking defense, abysmal. You know, halfway in round 1, the hands are low. And it's like, what's going on, man? You're showing signs of what a fighter looks like in round 3. I'm seeing that from Dusko in round 1. You know, sometimes, man, my breakdowns can be harsh. But ultimately, guys, I'm looking to make money. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking to make money, man. So if there's glaring weaknesses, I'm going to mention them. Dusko Todorovic, man, hands are low mid-round 1. Head's getting pinged around. You know, it's not looking good, man. Now, if I'm going to try to find the positives for Dusko Todorovic, I look at his UFC debut. You know, he took down Daquan Townsend, ground and pound stoppage. So if he goes into the fight thinking to himself, I'm going to take down Maki Pitolo and I'm potentially going to save my UFC career with some ground and pound, then all the credit, you know, all the credit to Dusko Todorovic. But if he's tired round 1, you know, and Maki Pitolo starts ripping to the body like Maki Pitolo likes to do, and let's say Dusko goes all out like he normally does in round 1 with the flurries, let's say he does that and he can't get Maki out of there. We could have Maki turn it on late. You know what I'm saying? Could be a case of Dusko Todorovic, man, doesn't get that round 1 stoppage. Maki Pitolo turns it up. You know, it's one of those ones that I can't bet on. I think Dusko Todorovic is the technically better fighter. But like I mentioned with the fatigue in round 1, no striking defense. It wouldn't surprise me if Maki Pitolo won. Now, if Dusko takes him down like I mentioned, yeah, I favour him. So, ultimately, I'm going to pick Dusko. But there's no way that he gets my money for this fight. No way. And Maki Pitolo shares the same birthday as me too. So yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, if I had to give numbers for this one, guys, I'd put Dusko Todorovic minus 140. And we've got Dusko Todorovic minus 160, minus 170. So yeah, he's not a minus 200, he's not a minus 250. And we know why. Because, you know, the weaknesses, the cardio, the striking defense. And Maki Pitolo's a dog too. You know, he's going to take your shots, then walk you down. He's going to check your heart. He's going to check if you're really about it. So yeah, a pick'em fight in all honesty. And a fight I'm not going to bet on. Alright, my homies, you know what time it is, man. It's time for a smoke break. If you waited to smoke with me, amen. If you've been smoking this whole time, double amen. If you're not a smoker, but you enjoy the smoke breaks, that's a triple amen, gang. Let's go. Hey, I hope you guys are doing blessed, doing well, having a good day, having a good week, man. And I want to mention, you know, I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Right? In England, man, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but this channel is heavily dominated by the Americans, you know, heavily viewed by the Americans. So, yo, my American homies, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving, man. Eat those turkeys, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure you guys did. Thanksgiving's not really about just stuffing your face with food. As far as I'm concerned, it's about, you know, saying thanks. It's about appreciating one another, you know what I'm saying? Alright guys, this is my Instagram at UFC Late. This is my Patreon at UFC GA. Man, the Patreon's been doing well recently. And even with the week off, you know, the Discord group's been pretty active on NBA betting. Quite a few NBA cappers in the Discord group. Guys, if anyone wants my bets for this card, Jose Aldo versus Font, and all of the UFC cards in December, there is only one way to do that, and that's to cop yourself a membership. Massive shout out to everyone on my Patreon, man. We're basically at 200 members now. You know, that's crazy. We're doing some good stuff, man. We're doing good stuff. Alright guys, the smoke break question. I'm going to keep this one nice and simple, right? The main event on this card, Rob Font taking on Jose Aldo. My question to you is, who wins this main event? You know, that's the smoke break question for this one. And the reason why I want to make this one the smoke break question, guys, if you take a look at the main events recently, quite a few Brazilian underdogs are cashing. Norma Dumont, Ketlin Vieira, Marina Rodriguez, all of these are Brazilian underdogs cashing in the main event. Is it going to continue with Jose Aldo? So that's going to be my smoke break question for this one. Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. Does the Brazilian underdog main event continue? Does it continue to cash? Drop the comments below. Are you taking Rob Font? Or are you taking the legend, the veteran, the king of Rio de Janeiro? Alright my homies, let's get into breaking down this main card. We didn't have a smoke break topic for this one. But what I do want to mention, I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. And make sure you get in the gym to work off those turkey burgers, you know what I'm saying? Alright guys, let's break down this main card. Alright, we've got a fight between Brendan Allen and Chris Curtis. Now, Chris Curtis in his UFC debut, it wasn't looking good, but then out of nowhere, obliteration. So yeah, massive shout out to Chris Curtis, man. He was, you know, he was getting torched a little bit, but one shot changes everything. Now, despite winning that fight, despite winning my UFC debut, I'm looking at the performance and it's like, you know, are you going to do that every time? Are you just going to take Brendan Allen's teeps to the body, his 1-2s, and then just try to find that one shot? Because like we mentioned earlier with Manel Kape, the positive for having low output is, you know, you're trying to bring them into it, and then boom, you land that strike. But the negative is it's not always going to happen. So if it doesn't happen for Chris Curtis, what's he got left? Is he going to have more output than Brendan Allen? Definitely not. Has he got better wrestling than Brendan Allen? Has he got better jiu-jitsu? I don't think so. I think Brendan Allen, man, he's only really had one bad moment inside the UFC. You know, he battered Tom Breeze. He looked good against Kyle Dorcas, even though the tide was turning late. His boxing looked good against Punahele Soriano. The only time Brendan Allen hasn't looked good in the UFC it was against Sean Strickland. Now, as we know with Sean Strickland, this guy can box and it's a high output. Chris Curtis isn't boxing the way Sean Strickland's boxing. He's not firing 50 jabs around. What Chris Curtis is looking to do is simply knock you dead. And if it doesn't happen, you know he's going to lose these rounds. So maybe if you're going to bet on Chris Curtis, maybe you just sprinkle the TKO prop. But what I'm seeing in this one, guys, I think Brendan Allen potentially the pick. So that's going to be my prediction. I'll take Brendan Allen. He's got the height advantage, has got the grappling advantage, especially with the jiu-jitsu. Yeah, that's got to be my pick. My numbers, I'd go minus 400 on Brendan Allen. I do like what Chris Curtis done in the UFC debut. You know, he was getting beat up and then boom. But is that going to happen again? I'm going to say no. Alright guys, we got a fight between Jimmy Crute taking on Jamahal Hill. I'm going to spark up for Jamahal Hill, man. Reasons why I sparked up here. Man, in his last fight, his arm looked like spaghetti at the end of the fight. You know what I'm saying? Paul Craig will do that to you. You know, making the arm look like spaghetti. Jimmy Crute kinda had a bad injury too. I'm not going to show that one purely because I can't look at the ankles, man. That when the ankle goes, you know, it makes me sick to my stomach. I cannot see that again. And the fact that Jimmy Crute tried to walk on it still, you know, what a warrior this guy is. Listen, guys, this matchup is a top matchup. And to be honest, man, they kind of put Jamahal Hill's back against the wall. You know what I'm saying? And by that, I mean, you know, you go from getting a matchup with Paul Craig to now having to fight Jimmy Crute. Oh, man. They've done Jamahal dirty. But here's the thing about the UFC. They will give you favourable matchups. But if you embarrass them on those favourable matchups, they're going to make you a highlight. And what I mean by that is they give Jamahal Hill Paul Craig, hoping that Jamahal Hill is going to get a nice TKO stoppage. But instead, Paul Craig, you know, he makes him a highlight. His arm looks like spaghetti. So now they're saying to Jamahal Hill, look, you don't get no favourable matchups. Now you're going to get a killer in Jimmy Crute. Here's the thing though, man. Jamahal Hill is good enough to win this fight. His boxing it's decent. It's really decent. But the problem is, Jimmy Crute is a really good kicker and a really good wrestler too. You know, his wrestling and jiu-jitsu levels above Jamahal Hill. So if Jimmy Crute goes into this fight, walks down Jamahal Hill with the low kicks, the body kicks, wrestles him to the mat, you know, he could beat Jamahal Hill. If Jamahal Hill is going to win the fight, I think he has to fight a pretty perfect fight. You know, if you get taken down, you've got to get back to your feet. You've got to get back to the boxing. I like Jamahal Hill's boxing, man. I really felt that he was going to dominate Paul Craig. And that's his first loss. You know, it's difficult to be a Khabib in mixed martial arts. It's difficult to stay undefeated. So I don't want to count out Jamahal Hill just yet. I don't want to say, look, he's done. He's going to get obliterated by Jimmy Crute. He might. But man, Jamahal Hill's got good boxing. I think most people are going to fade Jamahal Hill. They're going to take Jimmy Crute. He is a brute, man. You know, he's got a lot of power. His punching power's brilliant. His kicking's brilliant. The wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, the heart, the determination. Jimmy Crute's a warrior, you know? Guys, I'm going to side with Jamahal Hill. Maybe I'm a little bit biased on this one. Both of these guys have made me money. You know, they've made me money. But I just don't want to count out Jamahal Hill just yet. I think he can box with Jimmy Crute. The only concern is the takedown. If Jimmy Crute takes him to the mat, you know, if Paul Craig's doing that to you, Jimmy Crute might batter you. I'm siding with Jamahal Hill to use the boxing. I'm just not super confident. It's a tough matchup. My numbers on this one, man, I'd keep them close because I can't make Jimmy Crute an underdog. And to be honest, if you're going to make anyone an underdog, it's maybe Jamahal Hill. So I'll put both of these guys minus 110. And you've got Jimmy Crute minus 170, minus 180. Yeah. Jamahal Hill, his back's against the wall. We're going to see what he's made of in this matchup. Alright guys, we've got a fight between Clay Guida taking on Leonardo Santos. Man, let's just keep it real. This one's a pick'em. The reason why it's a pick'em, Clay Guida has all the experience you could want inside the octagon. But he's got a lot of miles on the clock. So if you can hit Clay Guida with a nice shot, man, you can put him down. Leonardo Santos on the flip side, this guy's pretty nasty, but he is nearly 42 years old. And you kind of see that against Grant Dawson. You know, he done well in this fight, but ultimately, man, he got very tired. But you can't blame him, you know, he's nearly 42 years old. You're gonna slow down wrestling Grant Dawson. You know, Clay Guida has pretty good cardio. He's known for that. He's known for always moving, and he likes to wrestle. So I can see both of these guys, you know, having a hard fight. Leonardo Santos might hit Clay Guida with some nice teeps, hit him with some nice punches, but Clay Guida might just out cardio Leonardo Santos, and that's why it's a pick'em. I'm gonna side with Clay Guida, but again, it's another prediction that you don't feel super great about, but I can see how he can beat Leonardo. You know, just out cardio him. And of course, you know, Leonardo Santos, this guy has really decent jiu-jitsu, so that wouldn't surprise me either. If he's able to club and sub Clay Guida, you know, hit him with a nice shot and he's wobbling, and then you jump on the guillotine. It's a pick'em. Leonardo Santos is 40 years old. Clay Guida's nearly 40 years old. What do you do here? Yeah, my odds on this one, guys, I'm going to keep them really close. I'll put Clay Guida minus 120. But the bookies have Clay Guida plus 150, plus 160. My goodness. In round one, it may look that way. But if Leo Santos slows down outside of round one, which I'm assuming he probably does, that's where it's going to get sweaty. So yeah, good fight. I think it's a pick'em. Oh my goodness. This fight is insane. This fight is insane. I'm going to pause the breakdown and go roll a blunt. No way. Alright guys, we back. Rafael Fiziev taking on Brad Riddell. If you don't know how good this fight is, I'm going to tell you, man. Man, if you're listening to this breakdown, most of you guys know how good this fight is. But for anyone that, you know, isn't too much of a hardcore with UFC, you're just getting into the sport, let me tell you, man, I've watched a lot of tape on this fight, on this matchup, and I'm confident in saying it's a pick'em, and I'm going to tell you why. So both of these guys are Muay Thai fighters. They are Muay Thai practitioners. Muay Thai is arguably the most violent striking art. Obviously, you've got like karate, which doesn't work unless you're Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Then you've got like boxing, which is just punching. And you've got Muay Thai, which is, you know, knees, elbows, kicks, punches, you know, a vicious striking art. Rafael Fiziev and Brad Riddell are two of the best Muay Thai practitioners in the UFC. When I'm looking at Brad Riddell, man, this guy's insane. The body kicks, the low kicks. But what's most dangerous with Brad Riddell, it's the boxing. Brad Riddell's lead hook, that will sleep you for a week. It will sleep you for a week if it connects. Now the right hand, as Joe Rogan would like to describe, a laser beam. Brad Riddell's boxing is next level. His kicks are really good, but when you're looking at the most dangerous area, it's the boxing. Now Rafael Fiziev on the flip side is a Muay Thai practitioner, like I said. The difference between Fiziev and Brad Riddell, Fiziev has much better kicks. His kicks are vicious. They're so quick. They go from A to B in a blink of an eye. Probably quicker than a blink of an eye, to be honest. So when I'm looking at who's the better kicker, both of these guys can kick, but I'd say it's Fiziev. When I'm looking at who's the better puncher, both of these guys can crack you, but I think it's Brad Riddell. Another reason why it's a pick'em, let's say Fiziev smashes Brad Riddell with a bunch of kicks. The judges kind of favour the punching over the kicks. So if Brad Riddell's getting beat for 2 or 3 minutes in round one, but then he lands a laser beam right hand, that might outweigh the kicks. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what it seems like with the judges sometimes. An example that I could give you would be Pedro Munoz taking on Frankie Edgar. You know, Pedro Munoz was landing a lot of kicks, but they weren't getting scored. Man, this is a really, really good fight. I think Rafael Fiziev could, you know, land a lot of kicks. You know, just have a crazy fight. I think Brad Riddell could land that laser beam right hand, that lead hook. It's a beautiful co-main event, and in my opinion, the best 3-round matchup put together this year. Some people might think that's an overstatement, but that's how excited I am to see this matchup. My prediction, guys, it's a pick'em, so there's no 100% confidence, but my pick, Rafael Fiziev. Could Brad Riddell hit him with the right hand, hit him with the lead hook, win the fight? Absolutely. And that's why I'm looking forward to this one, man. Two of the best Muay Thai practitioners in the UFC. My odds, man, you gotta keep it -110 apiece. And the bookies have it that way. You know, Rafael Fiziev -110, Brad Riddell -110. And that's the bookies' way of saying, yo, go ahead, man, pick a side. Pick a side. We're happy to take the money here. The bookies are always happy to take the money, right? But at -110 each, they're like, it doesn't matter. We're going to get paid on this one. Someone's going to be wrong, and that side's going to have like 50% of money on it. The bookies don't always get 50% each side, but in a matchup like this, they're pretty much guaranteed it. Because, for example, guys, if more money starts to go on Fiziev, they're going to put Brad Riddell +100. And that's 100% going to be tagged up. And vice versa, you know, if more money's going on Brad Riddell, they're going to put Fiziev +100 and that's going to get tagged up. It's a really nasty co-main event. It's the main event before the main event. You know what I'm saying? Alright, my homies, main event, we've got Rob Font taking on Jose Aldo. If you've enjoyed my breakdown, please Hamzat smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're going to obliterate December with these UFC bets. Alright, so you've got the king of Rio de Janeiro, Jose Aldo, who needs no introduction, you know. We know who this guy is. One of the best featherweights of all time. Now, he's fighting at 135, which is bantamweight. And to be honest, man, Jose Aldo's looked pretty good at 135. If we quickly go look at all the fights he's had at 135, you know, it was a good fight against Mallory, which most people felt that Jose Aldo actually won that fight. Against Cheyanne, you know, he got obliterated towards the end of that fight. But if you remember, early on, Jose Aldo looking good. Especially with the low kicks. You know, the low kicks were really good against Cheyanne. He even made Cheyanne switch stances at one point, which basically shows how good the low kicks were. Now against Marlon Vera, this was a close fight heading into the last round, but Jose Aldo backpacked him, you know, took the win. Against Pedro Munoz, you know, this one, I'm surprised that Aldo was -115. We had a lot of money on Aldo in this fight. And he just dictated the striking, you know. Pedro Munoz couldn't get him to the mat. Didn't even try to get him to the mat, really. Just went toe-to-toe with the veteran. And when you go toe-to-toe with a Muay Thai legend, you know, it's going to be difficult. Especially if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, like Pedro Munoz is. Now, Jose Aldo is taking on Rob Font. Can he stand and trade with Rob Font? You know, the answer's yes. But I do want to say this. How long can he stand and trade with Rob Font? Because I don't think he's going to be trading well with Rob in round 4. I don't think he's going to be trading well with Rob round 5, you know. I think round 1, you're going to see a nasty Muay Thai fighter in Jose Aldo. But the question is the cardio. The question is the conditioning. When we get 15-20 minutes in, what's Jose Aldo going to look like? So if I'm thinking along those lines, man, it's potentially an early finish for Jose Aldo, or the fight's going to get nasty. Now, Rob Font on the flip side, this guy's been putting together wins, man. You know, he obliterated Sergio Pettis, obliterated Ricky Simone, Marlon Moraes, Cody Garbrandt. Rob Font is smacking people with that jab, you know, and it can't miss. Arguably the best jab in the UFC. And I know recently we've been speaking about Max Holloway being the best boxer in the UFC, but when we're looking at just the jab, you know, Rob Font, man, you don't get a better jab than Rob Font. You know, Jose Aldo hit Cheyanne with a few low kicks, so maybe that's a potential weapon against the boxer, Rob Font. And you know, when you start to kick the boxer's legs, you know, you take that base out from under him. It makes it difficult to tee off with the jab. So distance management for Rob Font, you know, not eating those Muay Thai low kicks, that's going to be key in potentially beating Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo loves to rip to the body, his speed, his power. You know, the guy's a veteran, a legend. The only question I have with Jose Aldo, if he cannot finish the fight early, what's the cardio going to look like? And at that point, I kind of see Rob Font starting to smack Jose with the jab more and more, you know, busting the face up. My prediction on this one, guys, I'm going to have to side with the boxer, Rob Font. If he doesn't get finished in round 1 or round 2 by Jose Aldo, he's going to start to take over. If this fight happened 5 years ago, you know, I'm taking Jose Aldo. But at this point, he's 35 years old. But in fighting terms, he's much older than 35. And that's basically why Jose Aldo's cardio isn't great, you know. He's getting on, man. I'm not saying that he can't win the fight because he's a legend, a veteran. He knows how to beat Rob Font. But if he can't do it early, he's going to slow down. And man, if you slow down against Rob Font, he's going to show you the door. You know, he's going to open that door for you, man, and say, look, you want out of the fight? I'm going to keep hitting you with this jab. I'm going to keep teeing off. And he's going to show you on the way out. You know what I'm saying? So you may have heard that a few times in fighting, guys. When a guy slows down and he's tired and he's not really in the fight, you have to show him the door. And that means you've got to just turn it up a little bit more and the fighter's going to quit. And that's kind of what I see here with Rob Font and Jose Aldo. The first 10 minutes, it's going to be competitive. But after that, I think Rob Font may show Jose Aldo out of the fight. Not quite 7 times out of 10, but over 6 times out of 10. We've got Rob Font minus 150, minus 160. Man, Jose Aldo has looked good at 135, so I can understand the line from the bookie. But Rob Font is in a nice point in his career. Got a lot of momentum and the jab looks unbelievable. So yeah, that's going to be my prediction. As always, my homies, drop down your underdogs, your favourite pick, your main event pick, all of that good stuff. And guys, remember, keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Mac Miller. Alright, peace.